I recently wrote a book that I'm very excited about, and it's called The Evolving Peacemaker, A Commitment to Nonviolence. My beloved son, Matthew J. Evans, took an important part in writing that book, and among his other accomplishments, I can now say he's an author as well. In the book, we talk about tools to develop our understanding of how to heal and work with elements within our own consciousness so that we become able to interact not only with one another, but within ourselves in a nonviolent and compassionate ways. One of the topics we've been on for a few weeks is the chapter that I wrote on social and emotional intelligence, which is a topic that's been up for, well, at least since 1995 when Daniel Goleman wrote his book on emotional intelligence. Little by little, people are bringing it into the schools. Gandhi himself, along with Maria Montessori and other great teachers, agreed that in order to be truly educated, we need to develop our emotional nature as well as our intellect. We have two powerful levels of understanding, two powerful aspects of our consciousness that we can develop and integrate so that we are able to know and understand information, which would be part of the intellect, and to be able to, with our emotional intelligence, use our wisdom of the heart to combine with those facts to help make wise and loving decisions. This is one of the reasons that our peacemaking goals in this new paradigm are for wise and compassionate interaction with those with whom we do not agree. This is imperative because, as a rule, it's not done. This is something we need to nurture. This is what it means to be an evolving peacemaker, to learn and grow every day, not to respond to what we perceive as an attack in a defensive way, but to be able to use the wisdom of the heart, use our intellect, get that divine wisdom and that divine love united in a way that is powerful and positive. Again, I understand that there's a movement called the resistance. I would prefer to call it taking a stand for that which we want to see. Gandhi himself said that he did not resist anything. That's why he didn't want his movement to be called nonviolent resistance. But it was a movement of nonviolent action. And so today I wanted to talk about that aspect of emotional intelligence that involves being responsible for our feelings. Now, many years ago, Don Miguel Ruiz, in his wonderful, incredible, best-selling book called The Four Agreements, said, don't take anything personally. Don't take anything personally. Do you remember how we embraced that idea, how powerful that idea was? Because it would help us understand that not everything everybody else says is necessarily about us. What they're saying might be about how they're feeling, or their particular point of view, or what they're unconsciously projecting on us. We might not be a part of that conversation, and in order for us to get all hot and bothered and defensive and argumentative is something that does none of us any good. The more defensive we feel, the more we back away from other people, the more we fear other people and what they might say about us that will destroy our mood or destroy our day. We stay away from criticism because we don't want to feel like we've done something bad or wrong. This is a very powerful teaching. In unity, we don't really believe in bad people. We believe in good people who make errors in judgment. which result in evil in the world. We believe that there are many, many reasons that there is evil in the world. We call it ignorance, and sometimes there are mental health issues involved. There are all kinds of reasons why there is evil in the world, but one of those reasons would not be because someone is a bad person. We are all good by nature. There's one presence, one power, one divine life, one love, one creative source of all of our good, and that is what we call God or Spirit. And since Spirit creates all, then there is Spirit in all. Well, as the years went on for me, and especially there was a time when I actually had a meeting with Don Miguel Ruiz, and I interviewed him for a Positive Living radio broadcast many years ago. We invited him to San Luis Obispo, and it was an amazing time. But Don Miguel Ruiz said to me after our radio interview, he said, "Oh, what a wonderful job. You're a great interviewer." And I said, "Can I take that personally?" Because I know I'm not supposed to take everything personally, but I want to take that personally. So how does this all work out in the scheme of things? And of course we all laughed and the conversation stopped there because it's a really powerful question. What I like and what we talk about in our chapter on social and emotional intelligence is take responsibility for your feelings. I think that puts a different edge on what it is that we're talking about. It's not that we are never to take anything personally, because sometimes there is valuable feedback that we can use that will help strengthen us and lead us on a path for our greater good. This is about being responsible for our feelings. Okay, and what does that mean? It means we need to know what we're feeling at any given time, and we need to understand that feeling as neither good nor bad. It's not evil, it doesn't make us a bad person. We acknowledge that feeling without blame or shame. Emotional intelligence is largely about embracing ourselves, others, the topic at hand, in love. But it is about acknowledging our feelings. In the old days we used to say, "Have you gotten in touch with your feelings?" And sometimes I have to confess, while I was a student in ministerial school, I wasn't exactly sure what that meant. Get in touch with my feelings. Well, I've just gotten through yelling at somebody that I think hurt my feelings. Of course I'm in touch with my feelings. But that wasn't necessarily what that phrase meant. What that phrase meant was, what feeling did I have that prompted me to feel so defensive toward that other person? Why did I feel so hurt? What is the reason for my actions? Obviously there is some feeling or belief or inner child, if you will, that is suffering and responded in an aggressive way or in a frightened way because we weren't sure what it was we were feeling. And so, as some of the great masters, including Gurdjieff and Ouspensky of the work, say, it's after we do an action or while we're doing the action that we want to ask ourselves, how can I be responsible for my feeling? What is my feeling? Oh, my feeling is anger. But what is behind that anger? Because anger is an outpicturing of some sort of rage or pain that's going on inside of us. How can I be responsible for a feeling if I can't identify it? As I said, some of the great teachers have said that in the very moment when we are most volatile or feeling most outraged or frightened, that our consciousness is awake in its many aspects. And we can actually ask that question, and there will be somebody at home to answer that question. One of the aspects of our consciousness will be awakened to identify what exactly is causing us to respond in a way that is not our preferred choice. And so becoming responsible for our feelings means that we take the opportunity to figure them out. Try to understand what's going on beyond the bravado, or beyond the fear, or about the defensiveness. I remember years ago when we first heard about the 4 agreements, and I remember saying to someone, no one in this room, I can assure you, I remember saying to someone, your scarf is slipping off your shoulder. Well, that's in your consciousness, isn't it, Leona? Maybe I like it that way. Maybe I want it to be that way. And it was like, is there any transportation that would take me quickly out of this situation? Because that is not what I meant. I didn't mean it as a criticism. I didn't mean it as I just thought she might want to know in case it fell off and, got soiled. But obviously we can take anything to an extreme. Because the scarf was falling off did not mean that she was a poor dresser or a bad person or made the wrong choices in what to wear. It didn't mean anything like that. It meant exactly what it said. Now, as I reflected on my responsibility, I thought, next time I can say, I love that scarf. It's so beautiful. Do you mind if I pull it up closer to your shoulder, or do you realize that that it's slipping down and I wouldn't want it to fall on the ground? That would be one way that I could take responsibility, because we know that any encounter between 2 people, there is a responsibility on both sides. However, if I'm the person who feels demeaned or diminished because someone told me my scarf was in the wrong place, I need to, number 1, be awake and alert and understand that there's something that needs healing in my understanding of who I am and my relation to other people in the world. I need to heal something within myself that has become overly sensitive because of, and the question is what? Because of what? And then we start searching, we start looking back. There is a connection of thoughts, a chain, if you will, between our present response and our initial wounding. And so I am feeling defensive, I am feeling vulnerable, I am feeling insecure, I am feeling like that person is rude, because, and again, without shame or blame, find out what the feeling is so that we can be responsible for it. How many times have I said, oh, you know what, that response came out of something from my past and had nothing to do with you, and I've also heard that from people, which is a very powerful way to relate. Being responsible for our feelings means to recognize that we are an expression of spirit, that in no way can we ever be a bad person, but we can be more effective in our behavior when we become aware of taking responsibility for our feelings, acknowledging that those are our feelings, and rather than dwelling on what or why someone said something, let's go into prayer, go into meditation, go back into our past and find out what causes me to shrink back in anger, fear, or defensiveness. Because it is our nature to open our minds, open our hearts, and bless ourselves and our world.